postseason gets underway here at Bogle Park in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Game one of the day, the Indiana Hoosiers out of the Big Ten, the Oklahoma State Cowgirls from the Big 12. Double elimination format here in the postseason, so the winner of this game moves on to a winner's bracket game tomorrow for the third straight year, first time they've ever done that. And the Cowgirls day-to-day with an injury, so it's two freshmen over there on the left side of the infield for the Hoosiers. In the circle, Ruby Malin, her first year in Stillwater, unanimous all Big 12 first team, and a minuscule 161 ERA this year.
Well, we had a chance to talk to her, and she is fired up. I mean, she is the competitor and leads from the circle with this team. She's going to throw the ball hard, and she's going to move it north to south. She'll mix in her off speed every so often, but really has been effective going up and down.
So last game for Oklahoma State was in the Big 12 tournament. They were one and done. A 2-1 defeat at the hands of the Arizona State Sun Devils. It has been an 8-day hiatus between game action for them. Ready to get back to action, and Ruby Malin told us that the staff said, you've got to take a couple days off. Just rest, relax, let your body reset a little bit. Postseason gets underway with strike one to Bree Copeland, Indiana and Oklahoma State.
Well, she told us the 3 days that they actually forced her to take off was probably the most since last season, finishing up. So she feels rested and ready to go.
And also that she hated it. She hated being away from the game. That's how much of a competitor she is. Wanted to get back, refine her stuff, but in the build-up, in those 5 succeeding days leading up to today's action, heavy bullpens, 100+ pitches, just getting ready to go.
When you just get the feeling from her, she is such a workhorse, and so I think it is hard at times, and as coaches, you really got to make them step back, get that rest that you know mentally. It's not just the physical part of it, but also the mental side.
Head 1 and 2 on Copeland. Takes low, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Four seniors on this Indiana squad. One of the last teams into the field with a 10th place finish in the Big Ten. Copeland takes the inside pitch, pops it up to Rosie Davis, and she lost it in the sun. And Copeland is aboard to start the afternoon for IU.
Well, that's where you are thankful you are on base. Great pitch by Malin, and just jamming Copeland on the inside, but there was no shot for Davis, and in that situation, it's really hard because she was pulled up the middle. A little further back, right fielder Warsaw might have had a chance.
So it just goes down as a shallow single for Bree Copeland and brings up Taylor Minnick with a .470 average. One of the most difficult hitters to retire in the country. Minnick this year, all Big Ten first team for the second time. Not only .470 on the year, but .433 within the league. So led the Big Ten with 24 doubles. 3 big numbers for the Hoosiers. Led the nation on base in average and doubles per game. And this is given a ride out to right field. And Minnick gives the Hoosiers a 2-0 lead at the top of the first. Welcome to the postseason.
An ally has been slain.
We talked about the offense of the Hoosiers, and Taylor Minnick, she is the reason we highlighted. This ball is elevated on the outside corner, but we see Minnick go out, reach, and pull that ball to right field. You cannot allow them to get to extension. What a swing. Way to just answer right there. First inning for Taylor Minnick. Well, Malin talked about the loss to ASU, that there were 2 pitches she wished she could have taken them. She said, I can't though, so I'm gonna learn from it, I'm gonna move on. And honestly, that pitch was not one that I think she did not pipe it. It was up, it was out of the zone, maybe not a lot of break on it, but again, you can't make mistakes when you're facing the hottest hitting team.
That is what the Hoosiers have touted it on themselves. Of course, everybody comes in, you've made the postseason out of a field of more than 300 Division I teams, only 64 get to this point, so everybody feels good about getting here. They truly feel like there are no gaps in this lineup 1 through 9.
They feel like they've been tested. They feel like they've come up in big moments. They lost to UCLA, but they still put up 4 runs. So they feel like, okay, we just didn't get that one extra. And so for them, I mean, it's not just talk. I mean, they truly are. Confidence is such a big part of this game.
Kinsey Mitchell, roller, and Davis turns in and out number 2.
They say you learn a lot from a beating. If that's true, I've made the
It'll
whole
be Allie Van Brandt, sophomore from Ottawa Lake, Michigan. The Ohio runner out Toledo way. 374 hitters. So yes, 4 hitters at 400 or better.
Everyone loses.
But you don't get to be the nation's best hitting team without players who are also a great supporting cast that are just under that. We talk to them, and you meet the different teams. They all have different personalities and culture and mindset. But I'll tell you, with Indiana, athletes we talked to, Copeland and Minnick, they were serious. You could tell they're like on a mission. And I said, you could kind of feel the intensity and almost the urgency that they had. You got the senior class, and we've seen 3 of them, Copeland, Minnick, and Kinsey Mitchell, who just grounded out, knowing, hey, it's the last go around here. And so they've made the postseason now for the 3rd straight year. Last year, they were 0-2 in regionals. 2 years ago, they won 1 game when they got sent to Knoxville, Tennessee. And that was a big year because it was the first time they had made the postseason in 12 years. Now that's all in the past. It's not, okay, we're excited to be here. But Shonda Stanton is saying, we're building something, and this is a continuation of that.
And she said these seniors, they're the ones that are getting it done. She just, use the word gold standard, and they are the gold standard. They set it, and these other younger athletes, they're a mix of that. They follow.
Right back to the circle, and Malin takes care of business after a tumble out of the gates. With Bree Copeland, a pop-up to second base.
You might look on paper, the numbers went down, but you can count. And I know talking to the other coaches, they know that as well. Every time you're out on that field trying to get them out, that it's not going to be easy. And we'll see how they respond to the first inning, but again, a down year doesn't mean anything as long as we finish on top at the end.
Let's take a look at the Oklahoma State starting lineup presented by Capital One. We mentioned Texas Tech had 1 big addition. Maybe the biggest addition to this team outside of Ruby Malin has been Megan Delgadillo at the top. Started her career at Cal State Fullerton and got 1 more year of eligibility from the NCAA, and she has burst onto the scene with Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and when people look at stats, you're going to see speed, you're going to see her getting on base, she finds a way to move and to come across and score, but what they're not seeing is just who she brings into as a leader. I mean, this team absolutely looks for her.
I think the story is true for both of these teams. They rely heavily on their #1 starting pitcher. That's the story for Bree Copeland. Not only at the top of the lineup, but the top of the pitcher.
And I love that she's a 2-way player, because I think when she gets in the circle, it just means that much more to her. She's also going to throw in high 60, and she's going to mix it up. She has all the pitches. She needs to really make sure, though, today the key for her, and Coach Shonda Stanton told us this, is going to be able to keep her change low and to throw it when they need it.
There's a challenge in keeping Delgadillo off the base paths. 329 average. Also 33 of 40 in stolen base tries last year. And 2024 got the NFCA Golden Shoe Award for the best base stealer in the sport. She swiped 44 bags. It is a quick first at bat. Delgadillo is down looking.
Well, Bree Copeland is not messing around. Delgadillo thinking that pitch was outside and elevated, and I mean, I might agree with her, but I think with 2 strikes in this situation, the strike zone hasn't been established yet. You're not sure what's going to be called right now. You got to foul that pitch off.
Catcher Amanda Hassler, first team all Big 12 this season. One big thing that has been different from the 2024 Cowgirls team to 2025 is a dip in power numbers. Because last year they had 5 players with 10 or more, and this year she's the only one above 10. But hits it on the ground to Streeter. And It's 2 up and 2 down in short order for Bree Copeland.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that left side with Strader, who's been at third base this year, most of the year for the Hoosiers, and making that move on. You know, it's really more than anything, just the depth and being able to play it off the right way. You got to have a little more range at shortstop.
Strader was the starter there until mid-March. He moves things around. There is Rosie Davis. He runs batted in. Into foul territory. Out of reach.
Well, on that right side is really bad. So if you are a hitter and you put anything in the air on that side, you got to be thinking just the way that Bird was reacting to that ball. You kind of saw the same thing that happened with that.
What might be a pop-up shallow on the infield into 2 bases. Misses with a drop, 2-1.
You know, one of the things Coach Stanton said to us was just, you know, sometimes it takes Copeland a little bit of time to settle in, and I think right now we just see her really wide hitters. She said she always settles in. Sometimes it's just you're not sure what's going on.
Enemy double kill.
I think sometimes as athletes, like we talked to the athletes yesterday, right, Mike? And everyone, you know, they had all the right words, right? The mental part of the game, and we're feeling good and they're confident, and they are. That's why they're at this season or in this postseason. But there's still something that you got to keep your nerves calm when you actually get on that field and you're playing in the moment. That's a good job by Rosie Davis, making sure that on that pitch, although might have been a ball, you are not going to let any chance, if it's anywhere close, of being rung up.
An ally has been slain.
All men want to be.
Enemy killing spree.
We welcome you here to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Game 1 of this regional at Bogle Park. And another Big Ten team after we saw Michigan with that win over UCF. The Indiana Hoosiers and Oklahoma State Cowgirls. Bottom of the first inning. My cousins Leah Amico along with you. And the difference right now, the second batter of the game, Taylor Minnick with a 2-run home run. And Oklahoma State with a response. We are tied in the bottom of the first inning. Carly Godwin goes yard. It's even at 2 between Indiana and Oklahoma State. Ball is certainly flying today.
Well, all smiles right there for Carly Godwin, someone who is a leader on this team but has struggled when she has felt like she has not performed as well as she has liked. Misses a pitch up in the zone that she just keeps her barrel high, gets all of that straight away center, and that's something that I know Coach Guyette always talk to her. Hey, you're a leader when you're playing well, and even when you're not, we need you, and that's a big moment. She's someone stepping up when it counts.
Big swing from the sophomore. It's an equalizer. Back to square one in a game that has 2 tremendous pitchers. Bree Copeland, a 2-way pitcher. On the other side, for Oklahoma State, Ruby Malin, one of the best in the country, reinvigorated drop ball this year. 1-1 on Claire Tim, the number 5 hitter for Kitty Diastole. Stakes are high for both of these teams. Indiana reaching the postseason 2 years in a row. It's the first time they've ever done it. Oklahoma State there tonight. Straight trip to the NCAA tournament. Back to the World Series for the 6th straight year. The other side of this regional, Arkansas, number 4 national seed. Military of the Atlantic 10 with their strong experience in the NCAA tournament.
Things I love.
Chase of a 2-2. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. Copeland at 10.
They say you learn a lot.
Ready, your
from a
second
beating.
full count of the first inning.
I've made the
This is
whole world
DeBurco right in front of the bag, and the inning is over. And that's where the Billikens are. Thank goodness for that, by the way, because their journey here yesterday was harrowing, or I should say 2 days ago. It should just be a 5.5-hour trip from their campus just west of downtown St. Louis, and it took 10 because their bus had air conditioning issues, which, by the way, never got fixed, and a tire blew out along the way. So what's a little 85-degree heat?
Yeah, they probably think this is nice. There's actually a breeze. they're enjoying it. And, you know, I think sometimes to be able to sit, although they are going to have to face the Razorbacks later tonight after this game, I think that sometimes it's nice to bore you before stepping onto that field. Just a big moment for their program.
Madeline Strader, the freshman from Cedar Park, Texas, leading off for the Hoosiers here in the second. Great athlete all around, played a year of varsity basketball in high school, and we talked about the change in the lineup today where Strader moves over to short. She was a middle infielder in high school, but for the better part of this season, she's been playing third base, but with an injury to the starting shortstop, Alex Cooper, who's day-to-day, it's a slight reconfiguration for that lineup.
Well, and I think, you know, you get to this part of the season and it's just next man up, and that's the idea. Obviously, you want everybody healthy, but you've been practicing all year long, and there's some people who don't get those starts who are ready to step in at a moment's notice like this. And so I think this is where you're like, okay, the fact that she had games early on helps.
Payoff pitch from Malin just misses inside, and it's ball 4. So of the first 6 batters to the plate, that's the third base runner. Shonda Stanton, an excellent job getting these Hoosiers to the postseason for a 3rd straight year. Formerly the head coach at Marshall for 18 seasons before coming to Indiana. Played her college softball at UNC Greensboro, was a 4-year starter there, and is turning this team into a force in the Big Ten. They finished 10th in the league this year, but with the number of teams that are in the league, you don't face the entirety of the league. It would just be impossible to do it. And so they got the teams that were in the top half of the league this year, and as you mentioned too, defeated Washington in the Big Ten tournament and then lost by only a run to UCLA.
Well, she talked about even changing a series and heading out to Texas Tech to make sure to get them on the schedule. So that's all part of the strategy as well, looking at postseason, knowing that's when it comes down to mattering the most to who you play and how you play.
Another freshman, Josie Bird, fouls away the first pitch. And one of the things that Coach Stanton looks for, she talked about, she wants players who are going to barrel up the ball, but I don't care what it looks like, she said. I just want to know that you're an athlete and we can mold you once you get to Bloomington.
Yeah, just the athletic player that has also, I think, the right mindset. Like you just see, because they are a program that is always known wherever she is, you know, now here in Indiana, just to run, to be able to hit the ball well and to be aggressive.
Well, the challenge today is going to be trying to hit the ball low in the zone against Ruby Malin, who really broke down her own game when she came from Seattle to Stillwater last summer, and then broke it down for us yesterday as we met with all the teams out on the women's basketball practice facility just beyond left field. And this is poked into the gap in right center field, and that is trouble. A one-hopper off the wall. It sends Strader headed to third. Stanton waves her home, and the throw to the plate. That flag, she is out at the plate with a tag from Hassler. That came right down to the wire, and it looks like Shonda Stanton wants this one to go under replay review. What a relay on a ball out laser to right center field. That could have given Indiana the lead, and instead it's an out.
The call at home plate of out is being challenged by Indiana.
That's our home plate umpire, Steve Gold, here in Fayetteville. And here in the postseason, it's a centralized replay review that goes to DV Sport in Pittsburgh. So the umpires here will get on the horn with them. The decision is made there and relayed back to here, but that was as close as you can get at the plate.
Well, this is why it's so important to be able to field the ball cleanly, to be able to hit your cut, and really just a perfect play by Doug Adio, and then to second baseman Davis with really a perfect throw home. That defensively is exactly how you execute this play, and I think they're just wondering, Coach Stanton is wondering, did she get the tag on before Strader was able to get her hand to the plate?
Boy, it almost looks simultaneous.
Yeah, and that's as close as it is going to get.
Well, there's so many things that have to go right for that ball to get there on time. Like you said, Delgadillo's got to be getting to the ball. Davis has to be in good position. The relay throw has to be tremendous. And then Hassler does a phenomenal job that can go unnoticed on a play like this of not obstructing the plate either. She's out in front of the plate and has to reach behind to be able to make that tag.
Yeah, really great execution defensively. I don't think they could have done it any better. And it takes that. You get to postseason, every single play is going to matter and is going to count. And these are the examples. This game just started. I mean, we talked about these two teams. We were so excited to see them compete.
I don't care.
And we've got a decision. We'll hear it from Steve Gold. It was out at the plate.
After review, the ruling on the field is upheld. We have an out.
So I think the difficulty there from the Indiana side is that the call was out on the field, and by the letter of the law, you need indisputable video evidence to overturn it. Didn't look like that existed.
Yeah, I think that is the difference, like, unless it is clear and, like you mentioned, indisputable, and I don't think you can. It was just such a bang-bang play. But that's as close as it is going to get, I tell you, you know. And I think as a coach, if you're Coach Stanton, you got to, right? You don't know how many of those opportunities are going to come for you.
Right, the fact that your team scored 2 in the first 2 batters against one of the best pitchers in the country, take those chances where you can get them. Now, it's not an all bad outcome because they still end up with the freshman Josie Bird at second base. You got a runner in scoring position with just 1 out.
Yeah, but I think this is a perfect example. There are nobody out, and Malin got on base, and then Bird hits that. They could have had runners on second and third right now with nobody out, right, in this part of the lineup coming up. But these are the chances Coach Stanton, you know she's going to take. They're known for being a running team.
Pinch runner at second base is Cassidy Kettleman as Sydney Burko comes to the plate. You saw that ball go into the outfield. It was smashed. Did you think that there was going to be a play at the plate, or that it was just going to end up, like you said, second and third?
Yeah, I think generally people will end up second and third, nobody out, but not when it's Coach Stanton. And ultimately, we just saw, right, one little mishap, and she is safe on that. That was such a cute, a close play, and it was just a perfect execution defensively.
When all you can say sometimes is touche and a tip of the cap to the defense. 0-1 to Burko. It's in on the hands and fouled out of play. They changed the lineup. Burko making her first start since the 3rd week of March. Let's see if she can rise to the occasion here this afternoon. But before that ball hit to the right center field gap, we were getting into Ruby Malin telling us about her new and improved drop ball and the work that she's done with pitching coach Carrie Everly since arriving to campus less than a year ago. The big number, she said, is that the drop on her drop ball went from 3 inches to 10 inches.
Talked about the wrap soda being a big part of showing her how and why that was happening. And she said how she did not like it. She didn't do it at her last program in Washington and just really didn't want to, she said even. And then when she started doing it now, she says, I'm obsessed. Her own words, I'm obsessed with it now. I want to see what else I can do with it.
Competitive even against her own numbers, which tells you how good she is, even after she didn't want to take 3 days off after the Big 12 tournament.
Well, she really credits pitching coach Carrie Everly for just being so masterful and really helping her, she feels like, reach another level in her ability as a pitcher.
One of the big things that she said that she changed with her drop is just keeping her arm more loose and then allowing that ball to roll off her fingertips, essentially tumble down toward the batter. And I don't know how much it comes across on TV. She's tall. She is 6 feet tall, far right of the bell curve. One hopper out to second base. There are 2 away. You won't find many players taller than her. And so what that gives her is long levers, and her release is closer to the plate than most pitchers too, less reaction time for the hitters.
Yeah, and really it is a visual, but we're seeing right now with Indiana, these hitters, like, they're not fazed by it at all. They are coming up, they are taking their hacks, they're swinging. But it is different than facing a pitcher that's 5'7" out there, even if they are explosive off the mound.
Here's a redshirt junior, Melina Wilkeson. As fast as they come on this team. And a former Ohio State Buckeye who grew up just 90 minutes from IU's campus and spent 2 seasons on the field at Ohio State in 2022 and 2023. And last year, an injury, medical redshirt after playing in just 5 games. She's had a great career already. Big Ten All-Freshman team in 22. And in 2023 was first team All Big Ten. All the circumstances converged for her to make the move back to the flagship school of her home state. A year away from the game, a coaching change as well. Now here in the postseason.